Okay, welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take source material, could be articles, videos, notes, and really just dig into it.
Yeah, pull out the key insights, the stuff you really need to know.
Exactly. Help you get informed fast. So today we're looking at something that keeps popping up. Can you actually make money selling AI art? Specifically, custom AI art, starting out on somewhere like Fiverr.
Right. Is it realistic for a beginner?
Precisely. And our source material for this is actually a YouTube video. The creator basically set out to prove that, yes, beginners can make sales doing this, even with all the skepticism out there.
And their approach was pretty interesting. They looked at custom art services that were already killing it elsewhere, like Etsy, and then tried to replicate that success using AI tools, specifically ChatGPT, but on Fiverr.
Yeah, proving it's possible was the core motivation, the challenge they set themselves.
Absolutely. It wasn't just a thought experiment. They actually did it.
And they found some pretty compelling validation right from the start, didn't they? Mentioning similar shops on Etsy.
Oh, yeah. They pointed to examples with, like, over 4,000 sales. One even had over 15,000 sales doing custom portraits.
15,000. Okay, so that definitely suggests there's a real market there. People are buying this stuff.
For sure. It shows the potential.
So the big question the source tries to answer, and what we're going to unpack, is how exactly did they do it? What was the strategy, the process, and crucially, what were the results?
Let's get into it. Okay, so the core strategy they laid out, it's pretty logical. First, find out what custom art styles are already popular, like really selling.
Don't reinvent the wheel, basically. See what works.
Exactly. Validate the market first, then use AI to create high-quality versions of those proven styles. And do it quickly.
Okay, but the question that immediately comes to mind, and the source brought this up too, is why would someone pay me on Fiverr if they could just use an AI tool themselves?
Yeah, that's the big hurdle people imagine, right? But the source used a really good analogy. The photographer. Most of us have decent cameras on our phones now, but we still hire professional photographers, don't we?
True. For weddings, portraits.
Yeah, we pay for their skill, their eye, the quality, the editing. Or maybe we just don't have the time or, frankly, the know-how to get the results we want.
Okay.
And the source argues it's the same for AI art. You're paying for someone's expertise in crafting the prompts, their creative choices, getting a polished result, and just, saving the buyer the hassle.
That makes a lot of sense. It's the service, the skill using the tool. So their actual plan was pretty clear-cut. 4 steps.
Yep, laid out right at the start. 1, find the best-selling style. 2, generated with ChatGPT. 3, listed on Fiverr. 4, get the first sale. Simple framework.
Okay, so step 1, finding the styles. How did they do that? Just browse Etsy and Fiverr?
Pretty much. They really dug into those platforms, looking for niches where custom art was obviously selling well, lots of reviews, frequent sales, that kind of thing.
And they landed on 5 specific styles.
Yeah, 5 that looked most promising. First was this custom royal pet and owner portrait.
Oh, I think I've seen those.
Apparently, they're huge on Etsy. The source mentioned seeing one shop make 5 sales in just 24 hours.
Wow.
And here's a kicker. They did it that often the quality customers seemed happy with was, well, let's just say not always top tier.
Interesting. Okay, what else?
Second, custom pixel art portrait. They said this was big on Fiverr specifically, but they also found an Etsy shop doing digital downloads with over 8,000 reviews.
8,000? That's massive for digital downloads.
That is something, right? Third was similar to the first, but just the pet.
Yeah.
Custom royal pet portrait. Pets dressed as kings, queens, generals.
Right, people love dressing up their pets.
Totally. And again, they saw that average quality often seemed fine for buyers.
Okay, number 4.
Custom watercolor portrait. This one was highlighted as a top seller on Etsy, aiming for that sort of hand-painted feel.
Oh.
And they noted couples were the main buyers here. The source actually thought this might be a good bet for getting that very first sale.
Makes sense. Appeals to emotion. And the last one?
Number 5 was custom cartoon-style portrait. Think like Pixar or Disney style.
Fun!
Yeah. And they pointed out this one seemed to have a bit less competition than the others, but people were still definitely making sales. So still demand, maybe easier to stand out.
Okay, that's a great list. And what was the big insight from finding these?
Well, it ties back to that quality point you picked up on. The source's thinking was, if people are already buying these styles and are happy even with, quote, average at best results, then using a powerful AI tool gives you a real edge. You could potentially create something 10 times better, as they put it.
Right. Stand out by exceeding the current quality benchmark in those popular niches.
Smart. Exactly. Don't just follow the trend, improve on it.
So they picked the styles. Next was actually making the art. They used ChatGPT for this.
Yep. The source emphasized crafting specific prompts for each of those 5 styles to get the look they wanted.
And how did they create the examples for their Fiverr listings? Did they just use generic images?
No, this was clever. To make the examples really grab attention in the gallery, they used famous people and pets.
Oh, really? Like who?
They mentioned using JJ from Outer Banks with a German Shepherd for the Royal Pet Owner one, iShowSpeed for the pixel art, a random cute cat for the solo royal pet, Ronaldo and Georgina for the watercolor couple, and Messi for the cartoon style.
Huh. Okay, that would definitely catch your eye scrolling through listings.
Yeah.
Much better than stock photos.
For sure. And then they really hammered home the efficiency point.
Yeah.
They talked about generating examples for all 5 styles in basically seconds with AI, compared to, potentially spending 3 days creating one image if you were doing it manually.
That's a huge difference.
Absolutely. And that led to their big quote: AI won't replace your job, but the person who knows how to use AI will.
Powerful point. It's about leveraging the tool.
Exactly. Enhancing your workflow, not replacing you.
Okay, so styles chosen, art generated. Now the practical part. Setting up on Fiverr. What did the source say about that?
They went through it step by step. First, branding. They actually recommended using a brand name, not your personal name, especially when you have 0 reviews. Makes you look a bit more established.
That makes sense. Did they suggest how to get a name?
Yeah, they used a tool called the Mix for ideas.
Yep.
The one they liked was Artify Me. And then they used Leonardo AI, another AI tool, just to generate a simple text-based logo for that brand.
Okay, got the brand, then the actual account set up.
Pretty standard stuff. Following Fiverr's process, used the brand name for the username, uploaded the logo, added some basic info. They mentioned using ChatGPT to help draft the profile description.
Using AI to write about selling AI art.
Yeah. Then adding relevant skills, art, design, etc., and the phone verification for security.
Right. And what about listing the actual services, the gigs? Did they list all 5 at once?
No, their strategy was to list just 1 gig per day.
Oh, interesting. Why?
The idea was to give each gig its own little launch window. Focus on promoting that one specific service for a day before launching the next one. Keep the focus tight.
Okay, I can see the logic there. So setting up that first gig, they used AI for that too.
They did. They prompted ChatGPT to act like a Fiverr expert to guide them.
That's pretty meta. What did the AI expert suggest?
Things like good gig titles, choosing the best category and search tags so people could find it, and even advice on pricing.
Pricing is always tricky. What do they decide?
They went super aggressive initially. Just 1 package priced at only $5.
$5? Wow.
Yeah, the clear goal was just getting those first few reviews, ASV, build some social proof. They said ChatGPT actually backed this strategy. Start low for reviews, then you can add more packages, raise prices later once you're established.
Makes sense. What was included for $5?
1-day delivery and unlimited revisions.
Unlimited revisions for $5. They really wanted those good reviews.
Definitely playing the long game there. They also filled out the gig description mentioning they had to edit out emojis ChatGPT put in because apparently Fiverr doesn't like those.
Good tip.
And added an FAQ section to answer common questions up front.
Okay, what about after someone buys? The requirements section.
They kept that straightforward,
Yeah.
basically. Need a clear photo of the owner, clear photo of the pet, and please use the attachment button. They also suggested maybe adding an optional question like, do you have a specific style variation in mind? Just to manage expectations better.
Right, trying to prevent issues later. And the visuals, the gallery.
Crucial part. They used Canva to create the images, a video, even a PDF portfolio to make the gig look professional and appealing.
Canva is pretty popular for that. Any specific features they mentioned?
Yeah, things like Magic Expand and Magic Eraser, though they noted some of those need a pro account. They showed layout ideas like side-by-side comparisons of the original photo and the AI result.
Nice. Show the transformation. Exactly. And the PDF portfolio is basically a way to showcase more examples than the main gallery allows. They used a Canva template for that too.
Did they manage to get a video in there? Fiverr pushes those, right?
They did. Used Canva's animation features mentioned using a pop animation on images to make a simple video slideshow.
Clever workaround.
And another practical tip, if your files are too big for Fiverr's limits, just use free online compression tools. Don't let file size stop you.
Good point. So after all that setup, the final step was identity verification.
Yep, standard Fiverr security check. Once that cleared, The gig was officially live.
Okay, gig is live, but just waiting for orders probably isn't enough, right? Especially when you're new. Did they talk about promotion?
Absolutely. They knew they couldn't just rely on Fiverr's algorithm. They needed to actively drive traffic, so they planned for free promotion right away.
What method did they use?
Facebook groups. Their approach was to find relevant groups, art groups, pet groups, maybe even specific fandom groups, depending on the style.
Okay. Any criteria for choosing groups?
Yeah, they looked for active ones, defined as having 10 plus posts per day. The idea was to join lots of these active communities.
And how did they post without getting flagged as spam? Groups can be strict about self-promotion.
Smart strategy here. They wouldn't just drop their link. Instead, they'd share an example of their artwork, maybe the messy cartoon or the royal pet portrait. Then they'd ask for feedback, like, hey everyone, what do you think of this? Rate it 110? Engage the community first.
Okay, get conversation going.
Exactly. Then, maybe subtly mention they do custom work based on photos. And here's the key. They told anyone interested to DM them for details.
Ah, so the link sharing happens privately.
Precisely. They'd only send the Fiverr gig link in a direct message to people who actually ask for it. Avoids breaking group rules and targets genuinely interested people.
That's a really clever way to do it. And did it work? Did they get sales?
It did. The source reported getting their first order on just day 2. And interestingly, it happened while they were in the middle of setting up their second gig for a different art style.
Wow, day 2. So the whole process, niche selection, AI generation, Fiverr setup, that Facebook promotion, it actually led to a sale pretty quickly.
Yeah, it seemed to validate their approach for getting that initial traction as a beginner.
That's impressive. Did they mention anything else about the process? Maybe any challenges?
Oh, one important thing, a safety note. They said almost immediately after the gig went live, they started getting scam messages in their Fiverr inbox.
Oh no! Like what?
People asking for their email address or trying to get them to click weird links, promising big orders off platform. Classic scams.
Yeah, you hear about those.
So their advice was really strong. Never share personal info like your email. Never click random links people send you in messages. Only communicate about the actual service through Fiverr's system.
Very important safety tip for anyone selling online, definitely.
Okay, so they got the first order. How did they handle it? Especially wanting that good review.
They were really careful with it. The source explains they actually created the requested art twice.
They wanted to have options and make sure they delivered something the buyer would absolutely love, maximizing the chance of a 5-star review. They sent the artwork, explained they'd done a couple of versions, and proactively asked if the buyer wanted any changes or improvements.
Going the extra mile, did it pay off?
It did. They got a 5-star review. The source called it a small win, but a crucial one for building that initial credibility on the platform.
Absolutely. That first review is huge.
And there was one last interesting little detail about that first buyer.
Yeah.
They mentioned the buyer was from France, and that specific style they ordered, the custom rail pet portrait apparently has, like real historical roots and popularity in French culture.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating, like the whole regal portraiture tradition.
Exactly. Just a little detail, but it makes you think.
So let's recap this journey we've unpacked from the source. They started by finding a niche that was already working, used AI to generate the art quickly, set up their Fiverr gig very strategically, thinking about branding, pricing for reviews, visuals.
Right. Then implemented that targeted Facebook group promotion method.
Handled the first order carefully to ensure satisfaction.
Oh, boom. Got the sale and the 5-star review.
So the source material really does seem to show that their initial challenge was met. It looks like it is possible for a beginner to get that first sale selling AI art on Fiverr if they follow a methodical approach like this one.
Yeah, it provides a concrete example, a pathway that seemed to work in this specific instance. It wasn't just theory, they walked the walk.
So for you listening, this deep dive has laid out a pretty specific step-by-step process someone used to tackle this. Lots of actionable details there.
And thinking about that final detail, the French buyer,
right,
and the cultural relevance of the art style, it does spark a thought, doesn't it? Could understanding the cultural context or maybe even regional preferences of international buyers you might reach on a platform like Fiverr, could that be a sort of hidden advantage, a subtle key to success when you're selling digital art, especially AI-generated art, to a global audience? Something to chew on.